As Camden National Bank celebrates 150 years of supporting local businesses, customers, and communities with their financial needs, we want to thank those who put their trust in us. You're the real reason we're celebrating this exciting milestone. And while we've grown to help more individuals and businesses, our commitment to giving back to our community remains constant. Whether it's joining in the fun at the Camden Snow Bowl for the annual US National Toboggan Championship, or serving cookies and cocoa at Christmas by the Sea, or handing out towels following the Camden Windjammer Festival lobster crate races in the summertime, we continue to immerse ourselves in our communities. That way, those who live here know they have a true financial partner. We're thankful for the work Camden Famous is doing to shine a light on the businesses and neighbors who have contributed to shaping this Mid-Coast community and our organization.
Welcome to the Camden Famous podcast. I'm your host, April Shaw-Beaudoin, and today I am joined by my guest co-host, Brett Haney of the Norumbega.
Hi, April.
We are so excited to be chatting with two incredibly talented music executive directors here in the Mid-Coast. We have Anna Jones of Mid-Coast Community Chorus and Josie Davis of Bay Chamber here in Camden. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you so much.
And
so excited
not to
here.
mention incredible musicians themselves.
Yes, yes. And I should note that Brett is also on the board of trustees at Bay Chamber. So Brett knows everything about everything, and I'm really delighted that he's here because he's going to be able to ask all the musical questions that I don't know.
And I'm very excited to be here, and no pressure at all, ladies.
I think it would be great to start with, how long has Bay Chamber been around?
Bay Chamber was founded in 1961 by two young brothers who grew up in the area. And it was founded as a summer chamber music festival. It was a very informal concert series in a local church in downtown Camden. From there, it evolved into a large presenting organization that shares over 50 concerts a year. It moved from being a summer presenter to a year-round presenter. And then about 15 years ago, we formed a community music school, which grew from about 30 students to now over 375 students.
Wow.
And now we're in the center of downtown Camden, which is kind of full circle, having been originally rooted here, moved to Rockport, and then came back to Camden. And we're so happy to be in the middle of this amazing community and be so full of artistic activity.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And then Anna.
It's amazing. Yeah, my daughter is one of your students over there. Yeah. Mid-Coast Community Chorus, as you know, Josie, is now in its 20th year. Josie was just sharing that she was a singer in the very first concert in 2005 at the Rockland Unitarian Church. It was founded by Mimi Bornstein, who is a renowned choral director. It's now run by Kim Murphy, who is also very Camden famous, if I may say so myself. She served as the theater director at Camden Hills Regional High School for, I think, well over 25 years. I don't want to say.
Number of years,
yes.
Yeah.
And she's still doing productions and directs various other choruses in the area. We're a non-auditioned, multi-generational chorus. And we have currently about 120 singers. And we present 2 concerts a year, one in January and one in June. And we're a place where anyone who is interested in singing, no matter their skill level or their experience level, can come together and share their talents and stand side by side and make harmony together, like literally and also figuratively. And so it's a place to build bridges and a place of connection and belonging. And it's absolutely wonderful and super fun. Everyone should join.
Perfect.
I won't. I was joking before we started the podcast that they could all sing their parts since they're all so talented, but I'll just talk. One of the things that I love on your website is that you talk about your mission being you're singing for the community. It's singing by the community for the community.
Correct. Yes. We sing as a community, so we welcome anyone who'd like to sing. And we do believe that if you can talk, you can sing. And we have lots of educational support for anyone who's a newbie or doesn't know how to read music or But we also have a large group of people who are very experienced singers. So they sometimes can step into a more of a mentorship role or be like the leader of a section. Like we have bass, tenor, alto, and soprano, and we have section leaders for each of those, and that helps to kind of keep it cohesive. You'd think maybe that if it was a non-auditioned chorus, it wouldn't be good, but it actually sounds incredible. And we're singing like 8-part harmony, and it's very sweeping and uplifting. Rehearsals themselves are a lot of fun, but we're also a grant-making organization, and once a year we have a committee that comes together, volunteers, singers, members of the board, and we review applications and we select a beneficiary. And we're very excited for this year upcoming. This concert is to benefit Out Maine. So we've worked with, I think it's over 20 local nonprofit organizations. Wow. And I think after this year, we'll have granted over $100,000 to the community.
Wow.
So, there's that element of when we say we're singing for the community, yes, we're singing for the audience who are made up of our friends and family, community members, but we're also trying to leverage that organizational power and the network of all the amazing individuals who are part of the chorus to give actual money back to all of the totally worthy, amazing nonprofits that do work that we need done in the Mid-Coast.
That's incredible, really.
Thank you. Yeah, it's very inspiring. I really enjoy my work. Yeah.
And you're a nonprofit at Bay Chamber, Josie.
Yes.
And one of the things I think on your website is you talked about you always make sure that music education is available no matter what someone's financial means are.
That's definitely, I think, one of the most important priorities or core values that we have as an organization. And we award about 50% of our students some kind of scholarship aid to make it possible for them to participate in our programs. That could be anywhere from covering 10% of the tuition costs to 100% of the tuition costs. And one of our most important priorities is that anyone, regardless of their financial circumstances, can walk through the door and learn an instrument, and that finances should never be a barrier. So we've never turned someone away, and I always want to make it really clear that we want everyone who has any inkling, any musical inkling, to be inspired to come through our doors.
One of the things I love about Bay Chamber at the moment is the organization has the Muddy Boots concert series, which I think really does allow the community to come in and engage in a concert in a new way.
Yes.
Where, I mean, forgive me if I'm wrong here, but the kids can come up to the performer mid-performance and touch the instrument, or be kind of in there. And I think that's such a really interesting way to introduce a new audience to music.
Yeah, it's a brand new series. Just this February was our first concert, and it's 4 concerts through the mud season, which can last a long time. So we don't really know. But it's been really amazing. So artists who come to present a concert during the week for our regular concert series are also giving a Muddy Boots concert, which is a free 11 a.m. Saturday morning concert for families. So far, we've had almost 400 families or participants come. And it's primarily really young kids. I would say 6 months through age 5 or 6. And the rule is that there really aren't any rules, and that you can participate however you feel you want to when you hear the music. So a lot of kids are dancing. A lot of parents are dancing with their kids. There's a lot of interaction, educating kids about what music is and what the instruments are, what the musicians do, how you can be an artist, how anyone can be an artist. And so it's been so successful, and it's free. And also a really nice way of bringing new families into our school and into the building. Because we're so new in Camden, there are so many people who have not walked in yet. And it's so fun to see everyone's reactions. The building we're in now has been a part of the community for a long time in many different iterations. So a lot of people have a connection to it, but it's been completely transformed. So it's really fun to see that.
I'm obsessed with the yellow color. I think in the fall against Mount Batty, I think the colors just really pop.
Oh, it's so
and
beautiful.
I talked to Stephen Earle, who was one of the designers, and he said that there's actually a historic precedence for yellow on homes here, which I didn't know because there's so many white homes, I feel like, driving down any of these major streets.
It is a historic color. It is We did a lot of research to try to find a color that had been used previously in the community. And then since then, I think there's been a trend toward maybe more white buildings. But it does have a historical significance, and it does pop quite a lot. It's beautiful. We're happy with it.
It's gorgeous. And how do people come into to Bay Chamber? Do they call and make an appointment? How does that work?
For a new student who's interested in lessons, they can call or email or stop by. And we just try to get to know them and their interests. And then we align them with one of our faculty members. We have 23 faculty members that teach every instrument. From there, we set students up with lessons or ensemble classes or just one-off classes, depending on what they're interested in. And for audiences at concerts, we advertise locally in as many different channels as we can. There's a lot of word of mouth marketing that happens, and anyone can come to a concert and get a ticket. We have a tiered pricing structure. So if you're 21 and under, it's just pay what you wish. And if you're 22 to 35, all the tickets are $20. So we're really trying to get younger people in the community in our doors and in the concert chairs. Yeah.
Amazing. And since Brett is an opera singer, which we haven't talked about yet, he basically plays his voice as an instrument.
That's true. And go ahead.
Yeah. How else are you connected to Bay Chamber?
Well, actually, Bay Chamber was, so instrumental in helping Will and myself really build a community here. When we moved here, I was looking for a place to practice and rehearse, and Monica Kelly, at the time, she really just opened up her arms in Bay Chamber and allowed me to have this fabulous room that I felt like I kind of made my own in a way. And they also introduced us around town. They were just so fabulous in that way. And so I owe a lot of gratitude to Bay Chamber as an organization. And that's why I'm so thrilled to serve on the board of trustees and just, give back in that way. And also why I think, music education is so important. I think about my own music education, and I had to take choir for all 4 years of my my schooling, and I did not enjoy it at all. And now I look back and wish that I had taken it a little bit more seriously, because I think, as I've grown, I've come to understand, I think, a lot about music education, and in a choir specifically. There's data that shows that the heartbeats sync up when like 3 or more people are singing together. I think that's incredible. And so I think that's also why it's so moving that you guys give back to the community, because like if you're moving as one heartbeat, it's really easy to kind of, share that with others. And I think that's really beautiful.
Of course. And Bay Chamber has also supported Midcoast Community Chorus a lot in the past, but we're also so grateful for that support. And I know that, you may not be ready to join the chorus quite yet, but maybe I can get you to come do a solo or something eventually.
We can definitely talk.
But it is true that I do think that any lowering of barrier to entry is so important. Similarly, at the chorus, no one is turned away for lack of funds as well when it comes to just our dues. And in the past, we've had youth choir, we've had chorale, different sectionals, and small groups. And right now we're actually in the process of putting together an ambassador choir so that hopefully we can do smaller events with not the entire 120 person group.
It's a logistical nightmares there.
But and because of the size, we pretty much are only able currently to perform at the Strom Auditorium at Camden High. Just because of the physical size of the stage. We are finally, after the pandemic, starting to have, again, more students, teens, younger people in the chorus, and it's very invigorating and wonderful.
I think we have some of your choir members as students at the school now too, which is
I know
such
for a fact.
nice,
You definitely do,
Yeah.
and the interchange between our organizations is definitely lovely, because I just think we also have a lot of working adults, people who just have jobs in all kinds of industries, all kinds of backgrounds. And, they don't necessarily have a lot of outlets for their creativity. So many of us were like raised with some level of music education, maybe against our will. I had a similar experience as a child in choir, completely required for me to be there. And it felt not fun for some reason. But I think that that's getting recontextualized, hopefully with this new generation coming up now, where we know more about what kids respond to. And also, it's very true that the physiological benefits of making music and singing as a large group are very proven and incredible. And we do try to share that kind of literature with our singers as well, just to encourage them to keep coming back and keep realizing that it's almost a form of exercise, but also a form of like being together and finding belonging. And
So good.
and we live in obviously a world right now that's so polarized, and there's so few places where we can just come together and just put our differences aside and just try to exist harmoniously. So I think that obviously Bay Chamber, you guys clearly present a higher number of concerts, but it's nice to be able to have this sort of production oriented concert where it's sort of, it's a large group of people coming together, and we do our dress rehearsal and everyone gets excited and there's a lot of buzz and people, straightening their ties and putting on makeup and stuff backstage, and then really getting a chance to shine.
And the concerts are so invigorating. Midcoast Community Concerts, they're just so beautiful, and the repertoire is always so inspiring and thoughtful, and you can see the amount of love and time that has been poured into making them all so beautiful. I love them.
Can you talk to us about the repertoire that's going to be at the upcoming concert in June?
Absolutely. We're so excited. The concert's going to be called Sing Out, as a reference
Louise?
to the benefit of Out Maine. No, it's all right. And we, because of our that I'm just gonna.
I'm sorry, I ruined that. Sing out, out Maine.
Yeah, right. No,
I'm like making
exactly.
a gypsy reference
No,
over here.
I know. No, it's good. But yeah, because of we're going to be benefiting Out Maine, so the concert's going to be called Sing Out. It's on Thursday, June 12th at 7 p.m. at the Strom Auditorium at Camden Hills Regional High School, and it is the first time we've ever had it on a Thursday, so that'll be fun. But I actually think it's going to work great. And it is true that the concerts are super fun. Everybody always leaves with this like soaring feeling. And this time around, we are focusing a little bit more on popular music. We will be singing What the World Needs Now Is Love.
Nice.
And we're going to be featuring a large number of student soloists, and also featuring at least one or two songs that are for the community to sing along with.
Okay.
And but we have a whole host of songs that range from sort of classic songs you might have heard on the radio all the way to brand new contemporary composers' work who are younger LGBTQ plus composers. And so we're really trying to highlight that element of the repertoire this time around. But we do also have a lending library that comprises a large variety of genres, everything from classical to like African diaspora to pops to more contemporary pops. And we've got over 250 songs in our library, and it is a lending library. So if anybody
That's
or
And how many of each, like for a full choir, you could lend a full?
yeah, I mean, most
lot
of
of
our
music.
songs we have over 100 copies of.
Wow.
Sometimes we even have 150. And then we have from Chorale a selection where we have about 40 to 50 copies. So if anyone ever needs
great.
some sheet music, I'd be very happy to make an appointment with anyone from the community and to peruse our library and see if there's anything in there that would spark interest, because we don't want it to go to waste. And it's very well organized. Thank you to the wonderful work of our board librarian, Jean Slobozin. So thank you, Jean.
And you also have a lot of concerts coming up, Josie, this summer.
We do, yeah. Our summer season is very concentrated. So it begins July 31st and ends August 17th. And within that window of time, there will be about 30 concerts and probably 60 artists coming in from all over the world. And it's a lot of different kinds of concerts. There's everything from a free jazz concert in the Camden Village Green to a new series that we're really excited to launch called Mornings with Mozart, which is a 10 a.m. series deep diving into the world and music of Mozart, with a cup of coffee and a muffin from Zoot, our favorite. And then throughout the rest of the festival, there are concerts at all hours of the day, small, intimate concerts that feature chamber music ensembles like string quartets that might be really familiar, and then larger configurations of groups that are made up of musicians who are really close friends who come together to be in Maine and spend time making music together. And so you can really see that, I think, in the performance, the camaraderie and the space that being in Maine allows for artistic creativity and expression.
And I think you can speak to that really well because you are part of one or two of these groups that come together, right?
I am. Well, I'm formerly part of Palaver Strings.
Okay.
Palaver Strings has been a part of Bay Chamber for the last decade almost, and is a conductorless ensemble of 12 musicians that plays a wide range of repertoire. So they'll be back. I wish I could give you some more teasers, but I can't. But we'll be announcing the season in mid-May, and it'll be an amazing lineup of artists, from vocalists to string players to pianists. We did recently announce our Andrew Wolf Award prize winner, which is a $25,000 prize awarded to a pianist under the age of 40 that's making a splash internationally. And this year's award winner is Conrad Tao, who's a fantastic musician, composer, thought leader, and he'll be here for 3 concerts in early August and is someone you don't want to miss. His performances are spellbinding.
Ooh.
Incredible.
Wow.
Last year, Bay Chamber introduced a concert in the festival that was a concert for wellness. And I thought this was such a interesting idea. Can you talk to us a little bit about what that looks like and how that, also offers an entry level to attending a chamber music concert that might feel stiff or, boring. I
Yeah.
hate to say that, but,
This was a really exciting new series. Our artistic director, Manuel Bagoro, is based in New York City, and he works closely with Carnegie Hall, where they've launched a wellness concert series, which is based on this idea or the scientific evidence that the experience of live music and music in general can be life-changing and healing in a lot of ways. And so our wellness concert last year involved an amazing cellist who sat in the center of a darkened room, and the audience was encouraged to lie on the floor on blankets or yoga mats and was guided through the experience with a host or curator of the concert who helped people think through what their experience might be like and gave people prompts as the music was being played. And the performer interacted really intimately with the audience too and was sort of describing his process and his mindset as a musician. So it's a very vulnerable and beautiful and creative experience, and we're really excited to do it again. It gets people out of their comfort zones, but into maybe a more comfortable zone,
right.
which I think is really cool.
Yeah, one of my neighbors who had not been to a Bay Chamber concert before, she pulled me aside and told me that that was the first concert that she had been to, and she
Really?
was hooked. And she just thought, it was such an interesting concept. And I'm really excited. I wasn't able to be there last year, but I'm definitely going to be there this year.
Oh, you should
Yeah.
come. It was one of my favorite concerts.
It sounds amazing.
And it's fun to see someone come into a hall they're very used to and have it be dark and ask them if they can to lie down on the floor. And that first initial reaction can be a little suspicious. But then once it gets going, you realize, wow, this is actually an amazing place to experience music. And you can really relax and close your eyes and fall asleep if you want to. It's a very open space.
Yeah.
Amazing. I do want to talk about, you each both have very interesting educational and professional backgrounds before you got into the roles as executive directors. And so I'd love for you to share a little bit with our listeners what your journey to executive director has been.
Okay. Let me think about this.
We'll hear you.
All right. I grew up in Maine and started playing the violin when I was 6 years old and was a part of the Bay Chamber community at the very earliest moments of the music school. And that was under the leadership of Monica Kelly, who tragically passed away almost a year ago, and was so instrumental in the evolution of the school and believed fiercely in the power of education. And so she was a mentor of mine from when I was 8 years old. And because of that, music education was sort of instilled into my day to day and was a part of my experience all the way through high school. And then I ended up studying at Oberlin Conservatory violin, and went on to do some teaching and performing around the world for about a decade. Went to graduate school to focus on arts leadership and educational sort of strategic planning. And that was an opportunity to hone my interest in arts administration and leadership and the beautiful world of nonprofits, which I love. And from there, Monica Kelly reached out about an open position at Bay Chamber and was sort of the spark that allowed me to move back home. So I moved back to Maine 6 years ago and worked with her very closely and assumed the executive director role after she passed away. It was something that we worked very closely together on and talked a lot about. So it felt like a very natural segue, and also untimely, something that we wish didn't happen as quickly as it did. She was an incredible role model and leader in the community who I think touched a lot of people.
So many people
Yeah.
that don't even have anything to do with music. That
Absolutely.
I'm always surprised to learn who she touched.
And it's one little anecdote. As a kid, she founded a youth orchestra that many young people participated in, that were of my generation, and she would sit next to everybody in the orchestra at the piano and play along with whichever section needed a little extra support. And she was very modest about her piano skills, but she was a very fine musician and just loved music. And you could see that in everything that she did.
And I didn't know that she had been such a mentor to you, but I can see that because I've observed the lessons that you've taught where you're on your knees
Yeah.
with the violin, with the child, and I see so much of her in you. So really, incredible work.
Yeah, I know that she was very missed by a large number of the singers as well. I never got the privilege to meet her, unfortunately. But I'm glad you're able to carry her
Aw.
legacy forward. Yeah. I was born in Chicago. I grew up in Massachusetts. I briefly attended Hampshire College, where I was able to make some really wonderful friends, including a friend of mine, Sabrina Seelig, who was from Rockland. And I came to visit with her. And then I made a transfer and moved out to California, Los Angeles area. And I got my undergrad degree in visual and performing arts at the California Institute of the Arts. And in 2007, my friend Sabrina passed away. And so a number of our circle of friends have actually moved here over the years. And now I've been here also for 6 years, oddly. And I have more of a background in administration and organizational management, but remained a singer and musician. I play guitar. And have played in various groups in the places I've lived over the years, including here. And yeah, coming to Maine has been very special because of that connection. And we're lucky because we have some family here. And so I find myself very happy to have pulled off a pivot from the corporate world to the nonprofit world, because it's just means everything to be able to work full time in music. I'm also a music manager. I manage 2 musicians, including one local musician named Gordon Bach,
Wow.
I didn't know that.
who is like a totally legendary
Legend.
folklorist and maritime folk artist. And it's a privilege to be able to work with him so closely. And I don't know if you guys want to include this necessarily, but I would be remiss to not at least put it out there. a group of my friends and I, along with Sabrina's family, are now working on publishing her lost novel in a collected works volume that we will be publicizing shortly. We're going to do crowdfunding campaign for it. We have an amazing book designer, Maeve O'Regan, and I think it will be nice to bring some legacy to her work as well, because she was a very prolific writer and creator. So there's a lot of inspiring artists in this region. Specifically, Mid-Coast Maine just seems to be like overflowing with visual artists, performers, musicians. My background on stage is more in the theater department, but obviously that's highly linked to singing, especially when you're talking about like, musicals. So it's just so inspiring to see people of really all ages, just from little kids all the way up to people in their 80s and 90s, just stepping into the creative side of their personality and being open to having that be something that they're doing on a regular basis, even though they maybe find themselves not in what would be thought of as an arts hub, but it really is.
Why do you think that is? You know, as I've grown to know this community, I've learned that there was a harp camp that was down on the end of Marine Avenue, and that every major harpist in the world has been at that harp camp.
It's true.
And then I've learned that at the Duck Trap Beach colony, there was an operatic colony that, like, every summer, was a huge operatic troupe that would go and summer there. What do you think it is about this area that really just makes it a hub for arts and culture?
It's a magnet for sure.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about that question myself recently. I think it must be something about people who are willing to make their own way, possibly. I don't know. What do you think, Josie?
I think absolutely. And also, it's such a beautiful place. And a lot of the inspiration, at least for me as an artist, comes from being in the natural world or in an environment that's really beautiful and inspiring. So you can imagine a lot of people who may spend most of the year in a city environment to come to a place like Maine with colleagues and share in an artistic experience can be really motivating. And also, maybe Maine is a place where a lot of incredible art is birthed that we get to experience. We see that with visual art, especially in Camden and Rockland and the Mid-Coast area, but musically too. It's a very rich place. I read somewhere that, don't quote me on this, but that Knox County is one of the most culturally rich counties in the United States, like top 25, because there's an amazing film scene, an amazing visual art scene, a music scene. There's just so many vibrant confluences of artistic activity that are all in this very small geographic area.
Wow.
It's pretty amazing.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. We can get the statistic.
Okay.
Yeah, I've heard there's like an energy vortex here in the Mid-Coast, and I haven't dug into it, but I've heard it referenced many times since I moved here 5 years ago.
Oh yeah, I say that all the time, and not to get too woo-woo, but it feels kind of like Joshua Tree, like when people that have that experience with the ground, and they come here and I do believe that there is some kind of energy here that attracts the right kind of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, between the inspiration of the ocean and the mountains and the forests. I mean, it's hard not to believe that, honestly, but I also think that I've also heard that people say that there's a portal here between like major art centers around the world. And like for some reason, it just feels accessible, like to people to get to like New York City or to get to Los Angeles. And I don't necessarily mean in the travel time, but there's like a connection of some kind.
Right.
It's a little, intangible, but I've never offered someone to come visit and had them say, no way. So,
And they should stay at the Norumbega when they
should.
oh,
come.
absolutely. I mean, they would
I'll
be
do a plug
fools
for
to not.
Norumbega. One thing that we didn't talk about is the Norumbega is the only castle in New England offering overnight stays. And
This is true.
it is so special. And let's talk about, you do have some ways for the public to come.
Oh, yes. We are open currently every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday from 4:30 to 8:30 p.m. for our bar and bites. Our bartender Steele is making, to me, some of the most inventive and delicious cocktails, mocktails, and has an incredible wine selection also. There are 4 fireplaces, which I think when it's, rainy and you just want to feel a little cozy, it's just the perfect place to come and hang out. Yeah. Thanks, April.
I had to make sure. It's one of my favorite places in the Mid-Coast. Is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you really wanted to make sure gets mentioned? Is there anything that the community, you wish they knew about you wish they knew about your organization that we could share here?
I think for Bay Chamber, I want people to know that we want to meet you and we want to be a space where you can feel artistically inspired and creatively inspired, whether or not you're a student between the ages of 4 and 94 or an audience member that just wants to have a beautiful, uplifting, and sometimes challenging artistic experience. It's a learning space. We're all experiencing music. And we say that historically we're a classical music organization, but what we offer is much more diverse than that. And it's really about coming together as a community and experiencing music. And that encompasses a wide range of genres and experiences that might surprise you.
For Midcoast Community Chorus, I would just say that it'd be important for everyone to know that we have registration twice a year. We function in a sort of seasonal semester format. So registration is usually through the month of September and then again through the month of February. So we're in the midst of our spring season at this moment. But for those of you who might be interested in joining out in the audience, our next seasonal registration period will be just after Labor Day in September. And you can always go to our website, mccsings.org, to get all of the information about what's going on at the moment. Tickets for our concert on June 12th are on sale now at mccsings.org. You can go just to the homepage or to /tickets and they'll be there. And we are so excited to see everyone there. So those are the most important things. So come give it a try. You can always, if you're hesitant, you can always just try it out for a week or two and see if we can get you a buddy. But if you've ever been interested in singing, please come on down and give it a shot. It's a very easy way to start and a great way to make friends and to make a difference. Yeah.
Well, we can't end the episode without you each also saying what you're famous for. That is the through line through every feature
Right.
in our books, on the podcast.
I had to do it. You have to do
Yeah.
it.
Red had the best answer for what the Norm Bago was famous
Oh, I
for
wanna
last
know.
year.
Well, we were famous for, murder mysteries and, like kind of being a gothic castle, but we kind of tried to stray away from that and wanted to be known for romance. Famous for
love it.
romance, but we're still pretty famous for those murder mysteries.
Oh, that's a hard question. I think Bay Chamber is famous for its unique position as an organization that upholds the priority of education and live performance equally. And that's something that we don't see very often, at least nationally. In organizations, there's often sort of a subset of incredible community music schools and then incredible performing arts series. And we try to uplift both equally. And I think that's being made easier by having a space that does that in our new Camden home. But also we're always thinking about that through line when we're programming and thinking about how we bring people in. So that's what we're famous for.
I would say Midcoast Community Chorus is most famous for just being a place to create harmony and a place where anyone can sing no matter what. We're now in our 20th year. So pretty exciting. Yeah.
Incredible.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I want the audience to know where they can each find you online and on Instagram. So Josie, let's start with you. Bay Chamber can be found.
Bay Chamber can be found at baychamber.org, our website. Our Instagram is at Bay Chamber Concerts.
And Midcoast Community Chorus.
We can be found at our website as well, mccsings.org, and our Instagram handle is the Mid-Coast Community Chorus. And we're so excited for you to come follow us there and also to come to the concert on Thursday, June 12th.
Thank you so much for both being here.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jess Dean with Remax Jarrett & Cohn here in Mid-Coast, Maine. Our real estate agency has 4 offices across the Mid-Coast, but more importantly, we live and work in the communities we serve. Our agents aren't just here for real estate. We're showing up for our neighbors. We support local businesses, volunteer at events, and regularly give back through fundraisers and community initiatives. This isn't just where we work, it's home, and we care about the people who make it special. Find home with Remax Jarrett & Cohn.